Rain hammered against the cracked pavement as Armin hurried along the dimly lit street, clutching a grocery bag in one hand and his son Daniel's handmade solar system project in the other. The night was colder than usual, and the wind carried that heavy, uneasy feeling that always made the city seem bigger and lonelier. Armin had just finished another painfully long shift at the warehouse, 10 hours of lifting boxes, fixing inventory errors, and pretending the stress wasn't eating him alive. All he wanted was to get home, warm up dinner, and listen to Daniel talk excitedly about the upcoming school fair. But life had a strange way of interrupting even the simplest plans. As he passed the old bus stop, something made him halt in his tracks. A sound, small, delicate, trembling. A child's sob. It cut through the rain like a knife. Armin turned toward the sound, and beneath the flickering street lamp, he saw a tiny figure curled up on the bench. A little girl, no more than 5 years old, wearing a rain-soaked yellow dress and clutching a stuffed bunny that had lost one ear. Her hair was matted with rain, her shoes muddy, and her face streaked with fresh tears. Armin's heart dropped. He knew this city. He knew how dangerous it could be for anyone, let alone a child, alone at night. He approached slowly so he wouldn't scare her. "Hey there," he said softly, crouching down. "Are you all right? Where are your parents?" The girl didn't look up immediately. She sniffed hard, shoulders trembling. When she finally raised her head, her eyes, wide, terrified, met his. "I lost my mama," she whispered in a voice so small it nearly broke him. "She was holding my hand, and then I saw a balloon. A pink one. It was floating away. I looked at it, and when I turned back, her breath hitched. Mama was gone." Armin felt something deep inside his chest twist painfully. He had raised Daniel alone since he was 2. He remembered the fear of losing him even for a few seconds in a grocery store. This little girl must be terrified out of her mind. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Ayla," she murmured, hugging her stuffed bunny tight. "That's a beautiful name," Armin said with a reassuring smile. "My name is Armin. I have a son your age. We're going to find your mom, okay? You're not alone." She stared at him for a moment before nodding slowly. Armin offered his hand, and she took it, her fingers freezing cold. He stood, holding the groceries awkwardly in one arm, her tiny hand in the other. The rain showed no sign of easing, so he rushed her into the nearest place that felt safe, the little cafe he often used for work. The cafe owner, an older woman named Shazia, looked up in confusion as they entered drenched. "Armin Beta, what happened?" she asked. "This little one's lost," Armin explained, kneeling to dry Ayla's hair with napkins. "We need a place to stay until we find her mother." Shazia nodded without hesitation. "Sit. I'll bring something warm." While Ayla sipped hot milk, Armin messaged Daniel, who immediately video called him. "Papa, where are you? You didn't come." Daniel said, pouting, but when he saw Ayla beside his father, looking frightened, his expression changed completely. "Papa, help her," he said earnestly. "I'm okay. Don't worry about me." Armin swallowed the lump in his throat. His boy had such a big heart. He reported the missing child to the police. They said they were handling multiple emergencies and would send a unit soon, but he'd heard that tone before. Soon, in this city could stretch into hours. So Armin decided he wouldn't wait. Not when a child's safety was on the line. He knelt beside Ayla. "Do you remember anything about your mama? What she was wearing? Anything special?" Ayla rubbed her eyes. "Mama has a necklace. Gold. It has my name. Ayla, written on it." "That's helpful," Armin said. "Do you remember where you last saw her?" Ayla nodded timidly. "Near the balloon man. Next to the big fountain. There were so many people." Armin stood, scooped her up gently, and grabbed his umbrella. "Come on, sweetheart. Let's retrace your steps." They went out into the rain again. The marketplace was almost empty now, stalls were closing, lights flickering off one by one. Ayla rested her head on Armin's shoulder, cold and exhausted. He kept talking to her softly to keep her calm. "We'll find her. I promise." They checked every stall, asked every vendor, searched behind carts, down narrow alleys lit by dying neon signs. Armin's shirt clung to him, soaked through, but he didn't stop. Hours passed. The rain grew heavier. Yet Ayla trusted him completely, clinging to him as though he were her lifeline. Then, at last, his phone rang. The police had found a frantic woman searching for her daughter at a station 20 minutes away. Armin didn't think twice. He sprinted with Ayla through puddles, muscles screaming, lungs burning. When they arrived, a woman in a long coat was arguing desperately with the police. "Please, she's only 5. Please find my baby." Ayla's head shot up. "Mama." The woman spun around, eyes widening in disbelief before she ran forward with a cry that echoed across the street. Ayla leaped from Armin's arms, and mother and daughter collapsed into a trembling, tear-filled embrace. Armin stepped back silently, relief washing over him like a warm wave. He didn't introduce himself. Didn't seek credit. Didn't even wait for the mother to look at him. As long as Ayla was safe, nothing else mattered. When her mother finally looked up, breathless and shaking, Armin offered a gentle nod, said only, "Take care of her," and turned to walk away. He didn't know, and couldn't have imagined, that the woman he had just helped was one of the wealthiest and most influential billionaires in the country, or that by morning, their lives would collide again in a way he could never have predicted. Part 2. Sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows of the corporate building as Armin sat, tense and hopeful, in the waiting area of a prestigious company. He smoothed the wrinkles in his shirt for the 5th time. It was the only formal shirt he owned, washed and ironed late the night before. He needed this job. Daniel needed it. Their rent had increased, his old job had let him go with only a week's notice, and the savings he'd scraped together had almost vanished. Today felt like a turning point, one last chance to fix everything before things got worse. As he waited, he kept thinking about Ayla. Her tiny hand gripping his. Her trust. Her smile when she finally saw her mother again. He hoped she was safe at home now, maybe eating breakfast, maybe playing with her toys. He hoped she wasn't thinking about the scary night she had just lived through. A secretary approached him suddenly. "Mr. Armin? The CEO would like to meet you personally." Armin blinked in confusion. "The CEO? But I applied for a junior position." She simply smiled. "Follow me, please." He entered a large, elegant office. Floor-to-ceiling windows, abstract art, a polished desk. It looked like a place where decisions worth millions were made every hour. The chair behind the desk turned slowly. Armin froze. It was her. The mother from last night. But in the morning light she looked nothing like the panicked woman he'd seen crying in the rain. Now she radiated power, confidence, elegance, a perfectly pressed white suit, hair in a sleek bun, sharp eyes that held both authority and depth. "You," she breathed, standing from her chair. Armin immediately felt out of place. He lowered his gaze. I'm sorry if I caused any trouble yesterday. I just wanted to help your daughter." The woman stepped closer, emotion flickering in her eyes. "Trouble? You saved her." Her voice trembled. "I was out of my mind with fear, and you were the one who stayed with her, protected her, carried her through the rain, and then you disappeared before I could even thank you." Armin swallowed. "I didn't want to intrude. I'm just glad she's okay." "My name is Zara Malik," she said. "I own this company." Armin's stomach dropped. He felt suddenly small, painfully aware of the worn shirt he wore, the cheap shoes, the last few coins in his pocket. She continued, "The police gave me your name. And my daughter wouldn't sleep until she told me everything you did for her." Armin didn't know what to say. He simply stood there, nervous and